Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and welcome to LEGO Mini Reviews, the show where I review a ton of different LEGO vintage and new sets right here on the Duckbricks YouTube channel in a short form format. So I have a ton of Bricklink orders to get through, as well as just associated LEGO purchases, and I figured instead of making a mega video where I go through every single one that's hours long, why not break it up into separate mini reviews? And so, in addition to our normal 3 videos a week schedule, be sure to stay tuned for a mini review dropping every single day where we do not normally have a standard video releasing. I hope you enjoy, and let's jump right into our first pick. Alright, so this right here is Eclipso's Dark Palace from DC Superhero Girls. That was a theme that personally I kind of slept on when it first came out. I did not purchase any sets, and I'm kind of regretting that now because a lot of the sets were really unique, creative, and provided specialized buildings, which is not something we normally see from stuff like DC Superheroes, which typically tends to focus on vehicles, that is, when it actually was still around, versus this year where we didn't really even get sets at all. So this was from a time in 2017-2018 when LEGO was being really experimentative with the DC lineup, and that came with some ups and some downs, and I know a lot of people did not pay too much attention to these DC Superhero Girl sets because they featured mini dolls and not mini figures, and also because they really only featured female characters and very rarely featured male characters, this being one of only 2 sets to feature male characters, and you'll see why that one doesn't even really count. So the gist of the set here is that Eclipso, who is one of the more prominent DC supervillains, recently appeared as the big bad of Stargirl, the TV show, but that was a little bit of a different interpretation of the character in modern media. Eclipso is trying to use the powers of the Justice League to take over the world, as villains do, and so they've built in a massive transformation feature into the base itself to showcase the Captured Justice League, only one of which is included in the set Captured, which is the Flash here, and you may notice that I'm just going to get this out of the way right now. One of the biggest complaints about the set is that the Flash Micro Doll, or the Flash Mini Doll, does not come with a cowl, and basically just has Barry Allen in standard clothing, or maybe this one's supposed to be Wally West. I'm not sure which exact version of Flash this is supposed to be, but he's not wearing his hood. He is just kind of in a standard outfit, which is especially disappointing because you can see his hood just folded down on his back there. Kind of sad that we got a main DC Justice League member for a mini doll format and he didn't even have his actual outfit on. So that was one of the bigger complaints about the inclusion of male characters in the DC Superhero Girls line, but mini dolls aside, I think it's time to focus up on the main build itself because this actually has quite a lot of unique and interesting things going for it. First of all, these side builds include Wonder Woman's Invisible Jet, which is a really nice looking build, but the stickers were probably some of the most painful stickers to put on because, as you can see, they take up the entirety of the clear window panel. You also have stickers on these clear elements as well, just for a couple of extra dots and stars on the sides of them, which I think is kind of unnecessary. I kind of feel bad about putting these stickers on because the clear wings are so cool to get, and these stickers don't really even make that much of a difference. If you left them off, you would just have nice untarnished clear wings, so maybe for other builders looking to make this, they should just leave the stickers off, but as you can see, this is the final build. Very frustrating to put those stickers on, and it is super simple, but it is a nice enough build. It has seats for 2 characters, but we only have a few mini dolls, which is a bit disappointing for a larger set. We have the Wonder Woman mini doll, and we have the Eclipso one and Flash, so that's 3 mini dolls for a larger set. Thankfully, I was able to get this at clearance. Again, I did get this from the Legoland Billund Discount Factory Outlet store, where they were kind of selling a ton of retired sets, and this was the only one I didn't own, and they were selling it at deep discount, which was fantastic, because that was really great, because I really did want to pick up the DC Superhero Girls set, so why not get them on discount, because they weren't very popular. But as you can see here, focusing more in on the main build here, let's just quickly look at the Wonder Woman character. Nice, she includes a special printed shield. This is a special accessory for the character, as well as a nice new outfit and brand new hairpiece as well. They didn't just reuse the System minifigure style one, they made a brand new rubberized hairpiece for Wonder Woman. Not sure if they needed to, but that is nice. And finally, Eclipso herself is pretty fancy. She has a large skirt element on the back here, which nicely folds down, and even a slightly nicely textured cape element alongside the side for shoulder pauldrons as well. Overall, a really well done mini doll. Moving into the main build itself, this is a very unique design for a DC villain lair, because obviously everything is built around the large function, which does work really well. It's very satisfying to just open and close this, having the gate be open to reveal the Justice League trapped inside and the spikes going out at different speeds, and of course you have the actual tubes moving on the back as well, which is really, really cool. I like how they actually have the tubes moving. But besides the feature, there's actually quite a few things you can do with the model itself. So I'm going to unfurl that so we can actually take a look at these sides here. These two sides open up and you can actually mount weapons on the frame here. The weapons are currently in use by the Kryptomites, which are kind of the little minion style builds of the DC Superhero Girls wave, and they even have their own little training area, but if you wanted to, you could mount their weapons there. On this side, we have an actual working mirror for Eclipso to presumably get ready. You gotta look good before you conquer the world, after all. So you've got our potions, or maybe makeup, lipstick, because again, you gotta look good while beating up Superman. And moving on to here, we have a nice potion area with some open flames cooking some potions, a section where she's actually trapping the Justice League members, and a sticker to display her drawing the power, and all in all, just a really cool interior for a villain lair. Most of the space is taken up by the containment units for the Justice League, but it does make sense because, again, that is the main focus of the set itself. If only they actually included the other members of the Justice League. Now, maybe I didn't watch the DC Superhero Girls show, so maybe this is supposed to represent Batgirl and Supergirl, but I still think it would have been really nice to include even them, which are existing figures from the lineup in this particular set, just so you can have the full assortment of captured Justice League members. I just think that would have been pretty neat, but overall, it is a nice looking build in general, and it is actually hiding a cool secret. If you look at the top here, this is actually a detachable rocket ship. So just in case of an emergency, or maybe after the powers have been siphoned, Eclipso can make her escape in this very snazzy rocket jet. I like these studs on the sides building techniques here. It is fairly simple because, again, it is just the top spire of the castle itself, but it is a nice design. I think it works out fairly well, and obviously it is disguised well enough that, yeah, I would have believed that that was just part of the building itself, which cannot be said for many of the other detachable jet functions of other LEGO-themed buildings. Looking at you, LEGO Nexo Knights Murloc's Castle. However, there is one thing about the build that does feel a little bit awkward to me, and that is the obvious thing, which is the face on the building itself. Personally, I think the face is just a little bit too goofy for me. It showcases a single eye like a Cyclops and a really large open mouth, with the throne actually acting as the teeth of the character itself. And I don't know, something about this just feels a little too goofy, and maybe that's the point of it, but it almost feels a little bit too cartoonish, and yeah, I get that this is based off of a cartoon, but it just feels not quite real to me, and just kind of awkward as a villain building to just have this massive mouth mounted on it. Maybe if they decrease the pinks a little bit, because Eclipso, obviously her outfit is black, light purple, and dark purple. If they just made these parts dark purple instead of the bright magenta color, I think that would have made the effect a little bit more realistic, or at least a little bit more serious. Now it just looks like the monster is wearing very bright pink lipstick specifically around this area, which maybe it is. I'm not going to judge because which maybe it is. You know, I'm not going to judge the monster's fashion choices here, but I mean, it does feel a little bit silly to me having this very bright magenta mouth here, and they probably could have made it a little bit more menacing as a villain lair by just recoloring different bits and pieces here and there. Recolors that I do like, though, are these purple and black dual blend specialized rubber elements. These originated in stuff like Exoforce and different dual blend colors, but they still pop up today in stuff like Star Wars sets like The Mandalorian, Starfighter. I think it's a cool piece to get, and this dual color blend is quite nice. And I also love the inclusion of all these different spikes around the base, especially when it's fully unfurled. It really does feel like a very menacing place with these spikes going up, a large spike at the top, and these on the sides. Oh yeah, and of course stud shooters, of course, do furl out, which can be positioned up and down, and side to side on Mixel ball joints. Pretty much though, that about sums up this particular set. Nothing too much else I can say here. It is a fun villain lair that provides a lot of conflict in a box. I just wish it included more mini doll characters than just the main villain, one hero and one captured hero. That would have been cool if they just had maybe another hero riding the jet as well that Wonder Woman is bringing into battle. I think that would have made the set feel a little bit more fair to me, but otherwise, yeah, this about sums up our look at the DC Superhero Girls set. This is Eclipso's lair, and yeah, it's a pretty solid set. I think the building techniques are honestly a lot better than a lot of the other DC sets that we were getting around the same time. Batman movie notwithstanding, that's a completely different range of budgeting, but for the other DC sets, I think in comparison, they kind of pale this, which is a really fun concept. Sure, a little goofy in the execution of the mouth, but I guess that's kind of the point. And I do wish that DC would continue to make sets like this for minifigures, because it's just cool to get a Playhouse style set, or almost like a dollhouse that's a super villain lair. That is a cool build to get. Overall though, this was not one of the better selling sets of the DC Superhero Girls lineup, especially because it was quite large. It had to compete with the fantastic Batman movie sets, and the characters included were not super exciting, especially Flash not having the cowl, because a lot of young girls did also want to play with both the male and the female characters. But by making the theme only really have the female characters focused, it just made the story not feel fleshed out enough. And that was one of the bigger downfalls of the DC Superhero Girls lineup, which was a really interesting foray into a completely different era of LEGO design principles. Alright, and with that, we have summed up this mini LEGO review. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and do let me know down in the comments below what do you think of this set. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? And if you own it, what have been your experiences with building and playing with the set itself? Also, let me know in the comments if you like this format of mini reviews. I'm trying to put them out on a fairly regular basis, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very, very soon.